I'm going to show you a mixed vegetable and nut roast, which is a great vegetarian alternative to the traditional Christmas centerpiece. And this one is packed full of vegetables and passata, which keeps it lovely and rich and moist. So the first thing to do is roast the nuts. That's going to add even more flavour to the finished dish. So pop them onto a baking tray, into an oven at about 180 degrees for around about 10 minutes until they're lovely and deep golden colour, and leave them to cool. So while your nuts are cooling, it's time to start with the base. Put some heat under a pan. A good drizzle of olive oil. So once the oil's hot, add the sofrito mix. And this is just a combination of onions, carrots and celery, which makes a great base for the nut roast. And set that over a medium to high heat just to start to sweat down. And once the vegetables are cooking, you can do the garlic. So just squash the garlic, peel the skin off. And here's a great tip for crushing garlic. All you need is a good knife, 3 fingers on the blade, squash down and just squash the garlic into the board. And what you'll find, pressure of the knife just turns that garlic into a lovely puree. Really quick, really easy, and you don't need a garlic press. Scoop up the garlic and add to the pan. So the vegetables are just softening gently, let them tick away on a low heat, and the nuts are now cool. Tip these onto a chopping board. Now it's really important when you're chopping nuts just to go quite slowly, otherwise they ping all over the kitchen. If the nuts are too finely chopped, you're going to end up with a really dense nut loaf. So having larger pieces in there are going to add some great texture. So just scoop up the nuts and add them straight into the pan. Give everything a mix, and already this is starting to smell great. You've got that garlic starting to caramelise, the lovely sweet veg, and of course those really lovely savoury nuts. Now just to add another layer of flavour, you can add some thyme. It goes really, really well with root vegetables such as these, but also with nuts. A combination of nuts and thyme is delicious. And there are a few little stages to this, but think of each stage as just adding more flavour, so the final dish is going to be absolutely delicious. And again, give it a stir. So at this stage, season with some salt and some pepper. Give it another stir and then add the spinach. So as well as adding some moisture, this is going to add more flavour and a good bit of colour as well. This may seem like a lot of spinach, but it will wilt right down. So just carefully stir that spinach in. Once the spinach is wilted down, add the passata. And passata is going to keep it really lovely and moist. And now the breadcrumbs. Add about 150 grams, and I'm using soft white breadcrumbs, which are really going to soak up that passata and help to bind everything together. And it's the breadcrumbs that are going to add body to this. So it's going to make it much easier to slice, hold the whole thing together, and it's really going to feel like the centerpiece on your Christmas plate. And the eggs really are the final stage of the process. They're the glue that holds it all together. Give them a quick beat with a fork. So just tip the beaten egg in, and then give everything one final stir just to mix it all together. Just take it off the heat. I've got a loaf tin here. It's just been greased and lined with a bit of baking parchment. Take your mixture and spoon it into the tin. Really pack it into the tin. You need to make sure all the corners and edges are really well filled, and that's what's going to give you that great loaf shape. Make it much easier to cut later on. That's almost ready to go in the oven. Just need to cover it with a piece of foil. And just make sure that that foil is really snug around the edges. And that goes into a hot oven around 180 degrees. After 50 minutes, remove the foil, pop it back in the oven, and give it about another 10 minutes. When the nut loaf's cooked, take it out of the oven and set aside to cool for about 10 minutes before slicing. It's held its shape really well and is ready for slicing. And this mixed vegetable and nut roast is the perfect vegetarian centerpiece for your Christmas table.